30, almost 30 years in law enforcement, I have a lot of really cool friends that are much cooler than I am, that have said cooler things than I've said. And, you know, and then both my sons were in law enforcement for a while. The oldest one is a ophthalmologist now, but he was an OSI agent like Jericho Quinn for several years with the Air Force. He boxed in at the Air Force Academy. He's Air Force Academy grad. He speaks Mandarin and some Japanese. So, and then my youngest and I are motorcycle riding partners, and he was Anchorage Police. He was a sniper, and we all do jujitsu and different, martial arts. So I've just sort of bunched all of us together, mainly them, and that became a Jericho Quinn. Um, Arliss Cutter, Vicky, my wife always jokes, she says, "You're not Arliss, you're Grumpy." And of all these characters, Grumpy, his grandfather, and people that know me will see that. Now, I don't base, using the purest sense of the word, I don't base any character off any one person, but the characters are inspired by things that other people do and people that I know, whether they're good guys or bad guys. Um, I I think people that read the next one, the one that we're going to be talking about on the cruise, Backtrack in 2026, half of that book centers around Grumpy. Around his name's Wayne. I like to give so many writers, they give their names, they give their well, Jericho. Jericho is a tough sounding name, but it's a biblical name. Arliss is not a particularly tough sounding name. It was the little brother in Old Yeller. I've always liked the name Arliss, but it's also a gender neutral name. I know some women named Arliss and a couple of men named Arliss. And so rather than giving him his grandpa a name, Heck Ramsey or something like that, his name's Wayne. His name's D. Wayne Cutter. Very Southern. But the guy is tough as a boot, way tougher than me. But he started his law enforcement back in the late 70s, or actually we meet him in the late 70s in Backtrack. So it was very enjoyable to me to go back to the days of pre cell phones, pre pagers, even pre, everybody's carrying a fancy semi-automatic pistol, and most people back when I started in 1984 carried a revolver. And so go back to those days when it was really boots on the ground law enforcement that was a little it was just a different time, a little less military, militaristic than we have to be now. Um, so it was an interesting time. So I go back to, it was really fun for me to go back and look at the highway patrol officers that I got to work with, the city police that I worked with, where I was a city officer, um, county, just the way we worked together and the high speed pursuits and um, different things but it's different situations. For instance, a good example of this would be in Backtrack. I was working early one Sunday morning as a patrol officer, pretty new, and the tones went off. Now, a tone, any police officer that works patrol knows that a tone, that just means the dispatcher hits a special alarm, and it's a tone that says basically stop what you're doing and listen up. Something important has happened. So I'm driving along, listening to Paul Harvey or something on the radio, and the tone went off, and the dispatcher said, "Such and such trooper has just been kidnapped. He's being chased down such and such mile post of the highway, and no further information at this time, or kidnapped at gunpoint." And so I'm like half a block from the interstate. So I lights and siren head to the interstate, and I see the patrol car. I see it, and it is screaming westbound or eastbound on the interstate, I-20 going outside of Weatherford. So I end up in part of that pursuit, and and then other people are joining. And I was in a 1974 or 72 Dodge Diplomat that had zero sway bars on it, and I got up to well over 100 miles an hour. And in this day and age, that's not hugely fast, but this was back during the time when we didn't wear seatbelts as patrol officers because we were afraid that we'd get them snagged on our revolver hammers and, you know, slow down getting out of the car. And a lot of silly reasons, but we were pretty adamant. No, it's not safe to wear your seatbelt. And I remember thinking going pushing 120, which is where the Dodge Diplomat, I think it pegged out at 140, but I was going 120. I was just drifting all over the highway. Just a thought. If I thought, there's a car ahead of me, I need to get in the left lane. I was in the left lane. So all this going on, they caught one of the guys, and there's a bunch of stuff that went on with that pursuit and with the shots fired and all of that. Well, one guy got into the woods and ran, and I'm standing a roadblock. I'm so young and so new. I remember some of the guys were on horseback, and I thought, good Lord, that's where I want to be, a manhunt on horseback. But I'm so young, I got to stand here and check trunks as people are leaving, for church on a Sunday morning. And then this this Texas Ranger named Billy Peterson, who I worked with many times over the years in the police department. He pulled up and he goes, "I've already cleared it with your sergeant. Come with me." And so I left the other uniform guy there, and they put me in a helicopter and with a trooper, Billy and the pilot. So Billy's a Texas Ranger. He's got his M16, and he's in that'd been the left seat of a helicopter. The pilot flies in the right seat of opposite of a fixed wing. So Billy's in the left seat, me and this trooper in the back, and we would fly from farmhouse to farmhouse in North Texas at 7:30 or 8:30 on a Sunday morning and hover over the houses, and they would land just enough for us to jump out. They would hover over the house, and we would go and clear the house, like bang on the door. And, we're in hot pursuit of this guy that shot at a trooper. And so I remember at one point, again, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and this guy is in the bed. There's a shotgun leaning against the wall, and he's covered up with his blankets. And the trooper that I was with was a big honking tough dude, and he like rips the blankets away, and the guy's just sleeping in. He skipped church on a Sunday morning, and we're like, sorry, we're probably breaking every rule in the book coming into your house, but trooper just got shot at, so we're in hot pursuit. So that there was funny parts of that, there was interesting parts of that, there was super adventurous parts of that. I just took that scene, and people that read Backtrack will be able to glean a bit of they'll see that. They'll see bits and pieces of that. Way more interesting than what really happened to me.